The Atlanta Motor Speedway is often considered to be a racer's racetrack, one of the fastest that we see all season, and is a jewel of a facility located in the heart of the Peach State. Hello out there, we're on the air, and it's race day today in Hotlanta. It's a balmy afternoon in Hampton, Georgia, as we're here for today's NR2003 Mission BBQ Cup Series race, the Folds of Honor Hooters 500. Welcome everybody to today's MBCS coverage on the North American Sim Racing Network. My name is Trey Wright and we're here for the 6th race of the season in Atlanta, a bad, fast mile-and-a-half quad oval that takes no prisoners, especially with its abrasive surface on the old layout of the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Last week, Keegan Thompson brought home the octane checkered flag at the Rockingham Speedway for the 8th time in his career, in what turned out to be a chaotic SRI Performance 400 at the Rock. And in terms of abrasiveness and aggressiveness, Rockingham is a similar track to Atlanta, although in Atlanta these guys are going to be mostly running 3 and 4 wide, other than the 2 in single file racing we saw at Rockingham, but these guys are just going to be aggressive as they were last week. For some drivers last week, that aggressiveness really paid off, and for others, it did not. And the point standings reflected what a chaotic race that was as we take a look at them after 5 races ran in the 2025 campaign. Dylan Matthews, your Daytona 500 champion, is back in the points lead by 10 points after she had a good 16th place run in the SRI Performance 400. And she's got a 10-point lead over Riley Sampson and Angel Gutierrez, who are up to 2nd and 3rd in the point standings respectively. Carson Miller fell down to 4th in the standings after a 41st place DNF at the Rockingham Speedway. He is currently 52 points behind the 75 of Dylan Matthews going into today's race. We'll have to see how the 8 car will try to rebound after he starts pretty high in the grid this afternoon in that bright blue and orange number 8 FYE Dodge. Rounding out the top 5 is your Vancouver winner Rogel Dorn, Mitchell Collins, and Logan Williams both rising up in the point standings. Same thing with Bruno Diacomo rising 12 positions after an impressive 4th place run at the Rock. Esteban Lasser fell down 3 positions, and Keegan Thompson up 17 spots after his win at the Rockingham Speedway. Roberto Crown Jr. and Owen Miles with a good run in that 05 car round out the top 12 in the points. And even though we are still very early on in this season, it is going to be very interesting to see how these drivers will race and what kind of storylines will develop as the season goes on. But we've raced at the Atlanta Motor Speedway 4 times before, and the theme that usually follows is Speedway-style draftings and racing and fuel mileage towards the end of the race. The Speedway physics that you see at the Super Speedways was implemented at this track in 2022, thanks in part to Matt Tuck and Alex Graham for providing that Speedway physics package here at a lot of the tracks that you see. It has also provided a lot of close quarters, 3 and 4 wide racing on this older, lower banked version of Atlanta Motor Speedway, not the baby Daytona that you tend to see here in real life and modern races at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And what we've seen in the past few years is that a caution usually comes out just before the halfway point when the drivers need to pit, which usually results in a Pocono-esque fuel-saving strategy finish. We hope to see today's finish be won via skill over saving at the pump. But with that being said, it's that time of the broadcast again, which means it's go time in Atlanta. Let's go down trackside to get the most famous words in motorsports to fire the engines for the Folds of Honor Hooters 500.
Drivers, start your engines!
42 machines roar to life on the pit lane in Atlanta. Drivers, teams, and fans alike are ready for 82 laps of close quarters action this afternoon. Brennan Wilmington is looking for his first win since the Denver Oval in 2021. He sits on the pole position in the number 62 Lumen Toyota Camry. Rogel Dorn, your Vancouver winner from 2 weeks ago, makes up the rest of row number 1. Row 2, Angel Gutierrez starting to the outside of Roberto Crown Jr. to make up the penultimate row, and Ryan Durrani starts next to the Athens, Georgia native of Campbell Marsh, who is looking to get his first career win in the Mission BBQ Cup Series at his home track. Take a look at the rest of the starting lineup as the whole field rolls off of the pit lane. It's going to be an 82-lap race at the Atlanta Motor Speedway this afternoon. Stages coming at laps 25 and 50. Pit window opens up at lap 43, just past the halfway point. And your 4 previous winners At the Atlanta Motor Speedway are Nathan Smith, Aiden McCrow, Nathan Stapleton, and Tyler Reynolds. Stapleton is the only driver in that quartet that is in the field this afternoon today. He starts in the 21st position in that number 97. Dodge Challenger pace car dives onto pit road. Wilmington brings them down into the quad oval and through the race's restart zone. Green flag is out and away, and we're racing in Atlanta. Didn't take long for these guys to get 3 wide as Matthew Hubert was trying to split Ryan Durrani between himself and his teammate, as Roberto Crown Jr. will pocket 5 bonus points for leading a lap. Wilmington starting to fall back on the outside lane in that 62, and they're already 2 and 3 wide throughout the majority of this field. Crown Jr. trying to come around to lead another lap. Matthew Hubert hot on his heels in the 23, and it is a murder hornet's nest of activity behind these cats. Charlie Davenport coming up in the 98 up on the inside. He's got help from the 96 of Alex Sanvitale. Sanvitale, who finished 3rd in last year's standings, got his first top 30 finish of the season last week at Rockingham. He's on the inside lane, making it 3 wide through 3 and 4, trying to lead his first lap of the season. He's going to have to fight Charlie Davenport for that spot. 3 wide off of the corner. And Davenport just getting there in time. Dead heat between himself and the 96 of Sanvitale. Sanvitale will go out front in that blue and white number 96 machine for the self-owned Agais Motorsports. Back up front is a Pacific Racing car. That's the 92 of Braden Perez being pushed by the 2022 winner of this race, in Nathan Stapleton. Perez will lead lap number 5. In case you're just tuning in, you've already missed 5 laps. These guys fly around this Atlanta Motor Speedway, the 1.5-mile facility, as Stapleton will duck down to the inside of the 92. Igor Barreto losing a little bit of touch with the back end of the field. I saw him fishtailing off of the corner a couple of laps ago, so Barreto may have got that car a little too loose on the setup. Have to see how they fix that, as Dano Georgi, your Oregon winner, trying to fight with the 3 of John Andrews. Excuse me, that's Reggie Fogelman in the 3 car. I got the 3 for the Mission Barbecue Cup Series and the 3 for the Flowmaster Grand Touring Championship. Mixed up, there's John Andrews, who's on the outside of 4 wide off of 4. Matthew Hubert trying to force that 23 where the sun don't shine, and he'll finally think better of that. Quickly fall into the back end of the field as they fly by off of turn number 2. Again, these guys starting to cycle out here. Danny Fallington will go to the point, even though this is the older version of Atlanta. You can tell with the older looking pavement, but it does race like a super speedway. We mentioned in the show, hats off to Alex Graham and Matt Tuck for putting together the Speedway Physics version of this track. And we got some grandstands on the back straightaway. This is a blend of current Atlanta and old school Atlanta. And I couldn't be happier to race here in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series. These guys look to go 4 wide once again. Matt Wolf trying to get around Eric Monaco for second. Monaco started this race in 41st. And he was all the way up to second that last time by, but he'll fall all the way back in that 4 car. Wolf going to the point, 3 wide for the race lead is Alexander Rowe, Matt Wolf, and Owen Miles. 2 Fords with a Dodge in the middle going for this race lead, and Owen Miles, the Rochester, New York native, will lead this time by a lap number 12, and we got some separation in the back. Not sure if somebody slapped the wall back in here, but just a tiny bit of separation. Still under the green flag, and Nathan Stapleton really fell back in that 97 car. He's all the way back in the boondocks with Igor Barreto. So those two trying to get back into the dance. Still very early on in this race, but we're already an eighth of the way through the Folds of Honor Hooters 500. Logan Williams trying to be the Pied Piper of this 3x3 wide pack. He's going to be swallowed up like a Tums tablet. Rather swallowed up like a Hershey's Kiss here in a couple of moments. Corey Case right behind him, looking for his second ever win. Toby Murphy washed up going through the corner. He'll go all the way on the high side for the Hamilton, New Jersey native and last year's champion. Able to gather it up as it went really, really tight in the apex of 3 and 4. Bruno Diacomo making his way up through this pack in this 79. His teammate right behind him in the 75, Dylan Matthews, on the low side, as Alex Graham is glad to see both of his cars up in the top 10 right now. Diacomo is having a really good freshman season. Really good race at Rockingham last week, got a top 5 finish in that, and here he goes for the lead as Corey Case will lead some of his first laps of this season. I haven't seen a whole lot of either guy's car. Is all the way in the back. That's Caleb Rose, who's riding the Lightning through 3 and 4. He's going to hold up Carson Miller just a little bit. And for Caleb, got really tight through 3 and 4 like we saw with Murphy, but it was a little too high up. And he'll fall to the back in the 32. I believe that's what happened with both Barreto and Stapleton. They're both in the boondocks. Collins and Diacomo side by side for the race lead. Diacomo will lead that time by, and here comes his 27, Rogel Dorn, to the low side. Started on the outside pole. And Dorn is out front for the Amsterdam native. Dano Georgi, the sandwich in 3 wide up the front of this field in that Boy Scouts number 34 machine. And the bottom lane is just so powerful, as we see with Brennan Wilmington, 16 laps in, finally back at the front of Pacific Racing, who's usually good on these drafting tracks, running 1-2 right now with their other entry, currently in 40th, but we're not going to pay attention to that as your pole sitter this afternoon. Looking to finally lead a lap. Bradley Ream hot on his heels. Wilmington will get 10 bonus points coming out of today. No matter where he finishes, Wilmington will end up with a decent amount of points, at least 10. 5 for the pole position and 5 for leading a lap. Tag Heuer, fast lap of the race so far, belonging to Eric Monaco with 26.879 second lap. These guys absolutely flogging it around Atlanta. Average speed from Wilmington that time by 201 miles an hour. And we'll see what they're clocking in right as they go into turn number 3. We'll focus with Owen Miles here, clocking in 209 going into the corner as Keegan Thompson has found his way to the front of this field. Juan Rodriguez looking for his first top 10 run of the season. Down on the low side, along with Campbell Marsh, the only native Georgian in the grid. Marsh has been making his name known a lot over these first 5 races. Got a couple of poles, one of them coming last week at Rockingham as Brendan Wilmington got shoved up high. They're going to be 4 wide for a moment off of the corner. And Alexander Rowe trying to back out of that mess. No, he's going to hold his ground. There's still 4 wide going into 1 and 2. Fallington ping-ponging up there. He's trying to make it up the middle. Toby Murphy to the point as they finally file it down to 3 wide. And now Wilmington is up into the outside wall. Wilmington rides the Lightning through 3 and 4. We saw it at Daytona as he comes down, this time not into traffic. And Wilmington, just like we saw with Caleb Rose, got too tight, going too high into the corner, and he'll go to the back end of this pack. It's the third time we've seen it so far in this race. Those guys go all the way up high going into 3. They try to run the Larson line, and sometimes it ends up biting them where the sun don't shine. As Logan Alexander goes to the point, Fallington and Andrews right behind him to make up the podium. Coming up on 3 laps to go in stage number 1. We have no idea who's going to end up getting stage points out of this mess of racing machines. Corey Case coming down to the low side. Case now in front in the 63, 4 wide behind them. John Andrews in the middle of that pack. Here's Alexander Rowe in the 84, looking to lead his second lap of the afternoon, if I'm not mistaken. Big wad of action between these, or behind these guys. 2 to go in stage number 1. 4 wide back in there, that's Carson Miller, who is on the low side of 4 abreast. They file it back down to 3, as Miller looks to make a charge to the front. There's Miller on that 8 machine. Proverbial white flag is in the air for stage number 1. In the folds of honor, Hooters 500, and pretty much the entire top 10 is marred up back in here. And look at everybody trying to go to the front of this field. Everybody's saying they're like the seagulls from Finding Nemo. Looking mine when it comes to stage points. Gutierrez has got the run off of corner number 4. Got help from the 92, drag race to the line. Dead heat between Gutierrez and Collins. They're going to give it to Gutierrez. And we'll see what the difference was there. 1/1000th of a second for Angel Gutierrez. Getting that stage win over Mitchell Collins, as you'll see your results on your screen. Roberto Crown Jr. was the last one in the door that time, as Braden Perez will now lead his 3rd lap of the afternoon. First stage win of the season for Angel Gutierrez. Your Willow Springs winner, getting the job done in that 28 car. He'll go to the boondocks for now. And we're starting to see all the drivers that hit the outside wall. I think Zachary Fitzwater may have been one of them as well. Zach Krispy Kreme 99 once again in the back end of the field. Remember, he had an engine failure at the Rock last week, and trying to keep touch with the rest of this field. Nathan Stapleton and Igor Barreto have firmly lost the draft, as they are all the way in the back there. Nearly 7 seconds off of the pace to your leaders, as Daniel Bouchard on the high side, Eric Monaco on the low side. Monaco coming around this time by John Andrews on the high side. Nearly clipped the front end of Miller's Dodge. 7 and the 8 cars remain separated for now. It's been a caution-free race so far at Atlanta. I believe we ran caution-free last year as well. No, I believe we did have a caution right at the halfway point, and that involved that 5 car of Cole Sampson, rather, getting right reared into the outside wall. I'm thinking of 2022 is when we ran here caution-free. 4 wide once again. Sampson right in the middle of that. Bouchard will come out. I'll be back down to 3 wide. These guys know that it's still early in the race, approaching the midway point and approaching what is likely going to be right now a set of green flag pit stops. I know that they can go 4 wide, but they can't go 4 wide for long. It's Brennan Wilmington, who we saw clip the wall, was able to stay in this pack and has found himself back inside of the top 10 for the time being. He's got Matthew Huber right behind him. He'll go to the low side of Eric Monaco. Fogelman will come on through the quad oval to lead lap number 32. Dylan Matthews chomping at the bit to get in the front of this field, and she's going to have a Gazoo TRD teammate right behind her. And Wilmington is going to say, I don't care about manufacturer orders, I'm going to go for the race lead as Matthews gets put up on the high side. She'll fall back to second. Wilmington will come back around to lead his third lap of the afternoon. Here's Mitchell Collins on the low side, help from Elijah Gordon and Logan Williams. 4 veterans strung up on a line. Monaco got tight through the corner. He'll shoot up to the outside. Elijah Gordon driving that 47 machine owned by Derek Hamill. Will come around to lead his first lap of the afternoon. I believe that at least half this field has led at least one lap. And I think maybe 2 cars have led consecutive laps. I believe it's only Gutierrez and Braden Perez who have been strong enough to lead multiple laps in a row. It looks like Elijah Gordon is going to do that, however. With a pretty sizable lead over Logan Williams, that's not going to be the case as he is brought in like a fish on a line. Daniel Bouchard's now got the preferred line. Where does Elijah Gordon go? He's not going to have enough room nor time to block the low side of this 07. Bouchard has already got 2 wins in 2025. The Flowmaster Grand Touring Championship, looking for his first win in the Cup Series. For the 4-season veteran. Had a Canadian win last week in Rockingham and Keegan Thompson. Bouchard looking to keep the streak of Canadians winning with a dub here this afternoon as we approach the midway point in today's race. But as we approach our opening cycle of pit stops, it's time to go downstairs for a Twisted Tea race break. So let's go through the field, presented by Fram. Daniel Bouchard leads the way in the 07 machine, and it's a fight for second behind these guys. Braden Perez is second, Diacomo third, Toby Murphy was fourth. And I know it is virtually impossible to do a full field rundown, but there's Owen Miles, Angel Gutierrez, Diacomo, Perez, Murphy, Miller, Elijah Gordon, the top 5. And now here comes Gutierrez down on the low side. So 38 laps for Angel Gutierrez, Skylar Taylor, and John Andrews, as they'll hit the pits here on lap number 39. Short pitting just a little bit, and we'll have to see if that brings the rest of the field down. See Braden Perez going to come down the pit lane. Some more drivers coming down. And it looks like if we don't have a caution, doesn't matter if we put it at 1%, 2%, fiddle with the strategy. These guys are always going to short pit here at Atlanta. And if caution doesn't come out, looks like we're going to have the same situation we had last year at fuel mileage. Diacomo and Miles trying to stretch it, but pretty much everybody else is going to come down the pit lane. And again, this is before the halfway point. It is feeding time in the pit area right now. These guys got to be careful not to trigger a caution. They all come down to service their cars. And this is going to be very interesting to see how these guys run the last leg of this race. If we focus with Elijah Gordon, Jack is dropped right now. 15 even. Actually, no, 1481. Looks to be the fastest pit stop of the afternoon. Coming out of the camp of Igor Barreto. As the rest of the field comes in. And again, this is Bruno Diacomo And Alex Lozano that led this time by. They stayed out an extra lap, so we're going to watch out for Giacomo when all the chips are down. Potentially make it to the end on fuel. $14.81 right now looks to still be the fastest pit stop of the afternoon. We'll get that confirmed with a graphic later on. But this will cycle everybody out. So now things are going to get a little spread like butter. So we're past the halfway point in the Folds of Honor Hooters 500. Again, we said the pit window was going to open at lap 43. Everybody electing to short pit. And we're going to have to see how that affects everything. Right now it's showing John Andrews as the leader. Remember, it's this trio of cars with Andrews, Taylor, and Gutierrez that were the first ones to hit the pit lane on lap number 38. But I don't think they're going to be able to make it the entire time. Again, they can do about 43 laps, so they should be able to make it. But I don't know if they're going to want to risk it for the biscuit, is the million-dollar question. These green flag pit stops always shake the bag of kibble. Seeing a lot of guys back in here. This pack trying to reform. So we're past the midway point in the Folds of Honor Hooters 500. But now that we got the set of pit stops out of the way, now that we got a little bit of cars spread out, we'll finally officially go downstairs to do a complete Twisted Tea race break and a through the field presented by Fram. John Andrews firmly out in front in that 7 car. Angel Gutierrez is second. Third is Skylar Taylor. Fourth is Braden Perez. And you got to go about a quarter of a mile back to Toby Murphy to round out your top 5. Sixth is last week's winner, Keegan Thompson. Seventh is Cole Sampson. Rather make that 7th is Elijah Gordon. 8th is Cole Sampson. 9th is Thomas Troxel. Rounding out the top 10 is Bradley Ream. 11th, Bruno Giacomo. 12th, Carson Miller. 13th, Daniel Bouchard. 14th, Logan Alexander. 15th, Dylan Matthews. 16th, Riley Sampson. 17th, Roberto Crown Jr. 18th is Logan Williams. 19th, Owen Miles. And 20th is Matthew Hubert. Top half of the field, caboosed by Caleb Rosen, 21st. 22nd is Michael Lewis. 23rd, Alexander Rowe. 24th, Matt Wolf. 25th is Brennan Wilmington. 26th, Dano Georgi. 27th is Esteban Lacer. And 28th is Alex Lozano. 29th is Corey Case. 30th is Danny Fallington. 31st is Juan Rodriguez. 32nd, Mitchell Collins. 33rd, Ryan Durrani. 34th, Zachary Fitzwater. 35th is Igor Barreto. 36th, Eric Monaco. 37th, Reggie Fogelman. 38th, Alex Sanvitale. 39th, the Athens, Georgia native of Campbell Marsh. Top 40 concluded by Nathan Stapleton. 41st is Rogel Dorn, and rounding out this field of 42 cars, in 42nd is Charlie Davenport, and that is how they run after 48 laps in the Folds of Honor Hooters 500. We got a lead change up front. Skylar Taylor right at the top of the pylon in that 45 machine, trying to bring the boom this afternoon for the Costco guys in that 45 Camry. John Andrews looking for his first win since 2021. He's on the high side of Angel Gutierrez, and remember, these guys came down on lap number 38, so it is gonna be an incredible feat of stretching to the end. The million-dollar question for these drivers, will they be able to make it to the end of this race? Angel Gutierrez looking for his second win of the season. We'll get around Skylar Taylor, and now Taylor will fall back to third as John Andrews, an incredible move on the low side, gets the 2-for-1 Saturday special. And he'll go back to the point in that Barstool Camry. Three Camrys and a bow tie out of the front of this field, and like we said, you got to go about a quarter of a mile back to Toby Murphy, who has been discreetly but surely dragging the brake a little bit in that Duncan 20 machine. Bruno Giacomo right behind him. Giacomo will go down on the low side for that 5th spot, and Giacomo is part of a small group of cars that we know are going to be good to the end. Giacomo pulled the overcut, and he's got those fresher Hoosiers, and he has been slicing his way through the rest of this field. Keegan Thompson pitted 1 lap earlier, with the majority of this field on lap number 41, splitting this race directly in half. But we'll see if dissecting it right down the middle will play dividends for all these guys up in here. It's 2 Appleseed cars inside the top 5. Riley Sampson is somewhere in the 24. There he is, right on the tail end of the top 20 in 19th. And stage 2 ended about 3 laps ago, and we forgot about it. We'll have showed the results then, but we were so focused on Skylar Taylor and how this field is going to be jumbled up that we usually forget about stage number 2. We got stage number 1 in. We believe that Skylar Reynolds won here last year. I believe that Skylar Taylor ended up winning stage number 1, but John Andrews just won't quit in this 7 car. But meanwhile, these 3 guys, as Angel Gutierrez has fallen back to 4th and letting them battle it out, they keep swapping the lead like they're a couple of brokers on Wall Street swapping stocks. That is the 50th lead change this afternoon so far, as John Andrews has come back out in front in the 7. And we are closing in on the late stages of this race already. Got just a little bit over 25 laps to go. As Perez will go down on the low side once again, and now this field's starting to get reorganized as Bruno Giacomo knows he's good to the go on fuel. And he has been pushing that 79 to the front. He is up to 5th, now going for 4th underneath Gutierrez. Could he potentially go for 3rd under this trio of race cars? He's definitely got the rubber for it. He's got 4 lap fresher tires and everybody at the front. Sans Braden Perez, as Perez, I believe, came down 2 laps after these guys. He's made his way to the front. Here comes Giacomo, surging up the low side. Here comes Cole Sampson as well. Sampson makes it 3 wide. 2 Toyotas on his top side. Here's Cole Sampson. It has been eons since Sampson has won in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series. Call it 4.5 years since that 5 machine has been a Gatorade victory lane, but here he is on the low side. And Cole Sampson is out front in that DeWalt number 5. Still a long way to go in this race, but Cole Sampson looking pretty good in that DeWalt number 5, but Bruno Giacomo's got fresher rubber as Giacomo will cement himself out front in that 79 machine. Remember, he had a good run at Rockingham last week. Rose 12 spots in the point standings as Keegan Thompson looking to thunder underneath of him for the race lead. Suddenly, the bow tie is coming out to play. 4 bow ties up inside this top 5 as the Chevrolet is starting to come to life here in the late stages of the Folds of Honor Hooters 500. 21 laps to go in today's race in Atlanta. It's been a caution-free contest, but it has been a phenomenal battle of wits and strategies as Keegan Thompson will come around to lead lap number 61. Toby Murphy at the front of this field. Giacomo got a little tight going through the corner. That'll post him up on the low side. Here comes Gutierrez down on the bottom. Be 20 to go once they cross underneath of the stripe. The question is, do they run into lap traffic? Nobody's got any damage as there haven't been any wrecks other than people just unfortunately, be in the wrong place, wrong time. And going out into the outside wall. Everybody realizes that it's go time as they go to the front of this field. Giacomo will fall back in the 79. Try not to use all of his stuff before the end of this race. He knows he's good on fuel. He's better on tires, but you don't want to put yourself down to the rest of your competition, or worse when it comes to tire wear. How about Carson Miller in that 8 machine? We mentioned him at the top of the broadcast. How he was going to try to rebound after finishing in 41st at the Rockingham Speedway, and he's putting together a solid top 10 run as he's caught up to the rest of these leaders. Dylan Matthews, however, putting together a nice top 15 run herself, running in the 15th spot in that 75 machine. Keegan Thompson with a good top 10 run for the Raleigh, Alberta native. Here's Thomas Troxel out front, both of the Broke Boys Garage owners. Right now inside the top 5. Troxel wrecked out of last week's race. Now he's up at the front. Cole Sampson with an aggressive move on the low side. Dumped a lot of air onto Toby Murphy's deck lid. Caused that 20 machine to get very loose going through the corner. Had to get out of the gas, and here comes Cole back down on the low side. Gotta go all the way back to Trenton in 2020. The last time Cole Sampson went to victory lane. It has been nearly 150 races. Ran in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series since Cole Sampson has won a race, but it's been never for Bruno Giacomo in his 6th race. It's been never for Toby Murphy, who won last year's championship after a winless season. So for some drivers, like Keegan Thompson, it comes naturally. 8 career wins in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series. Trying to put together his 9th win and the first time he'd win back-to-back races. But Cole Sampson is hoping that today could be the day that 0-for streak finally comes to a close. Giacomo and John Andrews. For Giacomo, like we said, has never won a race. It's also been a long drought for Andrews as well. He'll go to the low side. Toby Murphy looking for his first career win at the club level as well. We'll make it 3 wide down low. "13 laps to go in the Hooters 500, the Folds of Honor Hooters 500. And it's still anybody's race inside of this top 10. Miller's fallen back a little bit in the 8 machine. He's down to 10th. 11th is Elijah Gordon, and I'd say that's we realistically have about maybe 10 cars that can win this race if Miller is able to get inside this pack. He and Gordon have been steadily closing in on this pack. Gordon is a 1.5 out. We'll have to see what that interval is this time around. Gutierrez won't quit. But again, it is the question of fuel strategy. Which of these guys are able to stretch enough to make it to the end? If I'm Gutierrez, we saw him laying back a little bit later on. Could he have saved enough fuel? I really don't think John Andrews or Skylar Taylor is going to have enough to make it to the end. We know that Giacomo can. We're a little concerned on the front of Keegan Thompson. I believe the 00 of Troxel did come in with Bruno Giacomo. So I believe Giacomo should be good. The 00 should be good, as we haven't seen Troxel a lot today, but he is able to stay out a little bit, make it to the halfway point, and finally come back down on the service area. 10 laps to go. No, we're not in Las Vegas, but a lot of these drivers gambling, and a lot of them shoving all in. We'll have to see who's got absolute junk in their hands and who's got a set or maybe even a full house. Cole Sampson, he's going to the front. He's shoving it all into the pot. Big lead over Diacomo. Coming around, but 8 laps to go. A lot of drivers, a lot of storylines for wins for drivers in this field. Thompson looking to make it 2 in a row. Taylor looking for her first win since Bridgehampton last season. Braden Perez, who hasn't won a race since his Daytona 500 win last season, trying to get back into the victory circle. John Andrews hasn't won since New Jersey in 2021. Would break a long drought for him. We mentioned the drought for Cole Sampson. Thomas Troxell looking for his first win since Pocono in 22. Is this these guys' race to lose? Is this Keegan Thompson's race to lose? Diacomo right now has got the best odds of anyone back in here, as Angel Gutierrez has fallen back to 9th. Like we said, trying to save fuel. Can hear him punching in the clutch just a little bit off of the corners. Gutierrez trying to save as much as he can. He, Andrews, and Taylor are all drivers that are going to be running their tanks dry. The rest of this field flying by, and here's Matthew Hubert down the pit lane. Hubert couldn't make it to the end. So here we go. All bets are off. They're going to come around to the pit lane next time by. Who's going to fold? Who's going to play it? Braden Perez is down the pit lane. He couldn't make it. He's the first one to fold in the top 10. It's coming down to another set of fuel mileage here this afternoon. And Diacomo knows it's go time. He's going to the front of this field. Diacomo up to 5th as here's Skylar Taylor, and everybody's going to come down the pit lane. Toby Murphy couldn't make it. Keegan Thompson couldn't make it. We knew that Taylor and Andrews couldn't make it, and here they come onto the pit area right in the late stages of today's race at Atlanta. Fuel mileage once again rearing its ugly head. These drivers trying to get gas, take gas, and go to stay out here. Cole Sampson, Thomas Troxell, Bruno Diacomo, your top 3. Sampson on the low side, he couldn't stretch it, and the 0 streak will continue for the 5. Sticks high in the air, 2 laps to go for Thomas Troxell. Does he have enough to make it to the end? I believe that he was on the same strategy as the 79. Here's Eric Monaco cutting his way through. Troxell started this race in 16th. Here he is coming off of turn number 4. White flag is out one more time around the Atlanta Motor Speedway. The Albertan looking for career win number 2 in the 00. Diacomo looking to floor that 79 as hard as he can. Through turn number 3 and turn number 4. Troxell trying to baby it around in that 00. Here's Eric Monaco on the low side. They're going to be side by side. Monaco at the stripes steals it with a last lap pass. Eric Monaco leads 2 laps today, but it's going to be just enough. He absolutely robs Troxell at the start-finish line, and by 10/100ths of a second over the 47 of Elijah Gordon. Monaco started in 41st, ends up at the top of the pylon. And another one of them fantastic Atlanta finishes. Ends up for Eric Monaco's first win of the season. Elijah Gordon and Thomas Troxel falling back. He got Gordon by a 1/10 of a second. Troxel fell down to third. We thought he was going to have that win in the bag. And right at the end, fell down to third as both he and Bruno Giacomo ran out of fuel. And Monaco stole it by just the skin of his teeth there at the start-finish line. What a finish! And much like Dale Jr. at Charlotte in 2011, comes down to fuel mileage, and Monaco gets it over Troxel. Fortunate situation there for Troxel, but Eric Monaco will take it. Only leading 2 laps today, but taking a look at your official standings, Eric Monaco, Elijah Gordon, Thomas Troxel, your top 3. Carson Miller with another top 5 run, and Bruno Giacomo round out your top 5. Esteban Lasser with a nice 6th place finish. Owen Miles, Dylan Matthews, a top 10 run. Michael Lewis and Logan Williams round out the top 10. Nobody in this race finished in the garage area. All 42 cars were able to finish the race. 25 of them were on the lead lap. And a lot of guys that were running this race up at the front, like Angel Gutierrez, John Andrews, and Skylar Taylor. Those guys had to come down the pit lane, end up finishing down below the bottom 30. Taking a look at where everybody ended up finishing this race. 2 guys in the NS Racing Group finishing 40th and 42nd. Nathan Stapleton finishing this race in the 42nd spot. Alex Anvitale finally gets a top 25 finish, 1 position away from a top 20 run. For both that guy's cars, able to get 20th and 21st place respectively. Well, that was a race. Classic Atlanta, like we said, it always ends in fuel strategy, especially when these guys, we had to usually have a caution come out in this race. Didn't have one this year. A little bit odd. That's going to do it here from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Congratulations once again to Eric Monaco for snookering a win away from Thomas Troxel and getting the win here in the Folds of Honor Hooters 500 at Atlanta. And we'll see you next week down in South Beach. Some Mission BBQ Cup Series drivers will take their talents to South Beach, Florida, as coverage for the Miami Vice 400 from the Homestead Miami Speedway beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern next Saturday night, April 5th, right here on the NSRN. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. Here are your point standings after Race 6 of the 2025 Mission BBQ Cup Series season. And from Hampton, Georgia, on behalf of the North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright. Have a great evening, folks. We'll see you next week at the track.